Welcome back. Geoff Koepp's back with us, and Geoff, I want to talk to you about the financial planning process, and you actually have this entire tool we're going to discuss on really helping people understand their goals. But a lot of people, I think, when you get into that financial planning process and whatnot, part of it really is giving back, whether it's through finance and charity. It really can be a part of the process, and I can't stress enough how important it is for people. If you're out there listening, even if you don't know a cause, maybe the causes that we have on here, maybe the events we talk about are not for you, but it's worth, go out and find something that, that you want to be a part of, that you can, like I said, give that human support. It means as much as money.
Give just enough till it hurts.
Just, there you go. 90%.
Yeah.
Well, Geoff, welcome back, buddy.
Hey, nice to be back.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Good.
It is good.
Yeah. So, Geoff, you own Atlas Financial, myatlasplanner.com, chartered retirement planning counselor and a certified income specialist.
Yeah.
So the financial planning process, you kind of talked about before the show, when is it the right time to find a financial planner? And you kind of have a whole system on that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that actually cue people as to when it's time for them. And it's generally around life changes. And a lot of times when most people think about it is, I'm planning for retirement. That's the big one that most people think about. But there's actually many areas in your life when a plan, it's time to do some planning for yourself. And a lot of times it could be around life issues like an inheritance or somebody dies in the family. That's always a time to reassess where you stand and what's going on. And maybe there's something going on with your financial retirement plan that can be affected by that. The other things that come up are having children. A lot of times children are a case for looking at creating a financial plan, because now you have something else besides yourself to think about in life. And that always becomes a big issue. That's a big one for a lot of people, because they want to make sure that their kids are going to get through school if something happened to them, and there's maybe graduation and all those kind of things, and making sure their family has enough income if something should happen to either one of the family members. And that's a whole other thing, which is probably what I would consider risk management, is another reason why people come and do financial planning. And it's a time to do financial planning when you're like, I think I'm exposed, but I don't know, and how much, and what would that look like, and how much is that going to cost, and if something happened to me, are they going to be okay? Those are all like really important issues for people to assess. Is it, it's maybe time for me to go look, because they haven't done that, or they haven't spent the time to figure that out. And so those kind of come up. There's also some other issues, maybe like Sung was talking about a second ago. You have a big medical issue in the family, or you have a kid with a medical issue, and you're trying to plan for your estate to take care of somebody after you're gone. Those are big estate planning type items, which it might be time for them to sit down and do a financial plan and really assess what needs to happen and to make sure everybody's okay. The other things that people might look at is maybe they got a pay raise. A lot of times that's an issue for a lot of people to look at, especially in this economy. It's like, okay, well, I have a new money.
Now maybe you're having a way to counter just spending as much as you make.
Yeah, exactly. And I try to actually coach people to say, live with your same lifestyle like it hasn't gone up, and then fund your goals with your bonuses.
They want that Mercedes, Geoff.
Yes.
They want that Mercedes and the Lexus and the new house. Yeah. I mean, come on.
And that's the problem that we face as a society, is that everybody's ready to blow their bucks, right away, their bonuses or whatever. They want to blow that, or they want to give it to a charity, in this case for Sung, or something like that. But maybe that's a goal for somebody.
Sounds like printing money over here.
Yeah. So maybe that's a chance for them to actually assess, like there is some charity or something. That's another reason that people do planning, is they have a cause that they're really out to support, and they want to make sure that their finances are set up, their will is set up, all of their estate stuff is set up to fund something that is important to them. It may not be as important to their kids or their other house members, but it is important to them, and then they want their assets to take care of that. And those are always important things to sit down and review in a financial planning process.
Do you advise people, though, to take care of themselves first? Because a lot of people think, well, kids' education or charity, and that is important, but I mean, is there an element of you got to take care of you and yourself, maybe your spouse first?
In a way, it can be. I think it depends on your age a little bit too. If you're married young, you can be a little more like lengthy in your planning and a little more balanced maybe. But if you're older and you have kids that are younger, maybe it does become like, well, I don't have enough income to support my kids going to school. I might have to work on making sure my retirement plan is stable. And then that my kids can get you can get loans, you can get grants, you can apply for stuff like that to go to college. A lot of people do. And if income is an issue there, that is something that becomes in your factor. I mean, it becomes in your favor because you don't have to necessarily worry about it. Because if you're in that range where it's you have to make that decision, you're probably in a range where your kids would qualify for income for some sort of aid or something. So in a way, yes. I mean, it just depends on the situation that
and that's kind of how the whole planning process goes, right? I mean, you're balancing a lot of different things. So, you kind of talk about, developing your financial goals. That's kind of, there's a lot of spokes that go out from your core. Yeah. And, understanding where you want to put money, because isn't that a big piece of it?
Yeah. I think in reality, it all comes back to probably two things that I think are the most important. First is do a brain dump, figure out everything that you have. And if you don't know what you have, that's probably a time to sit down with a financial planner and figure it out. A lot of people, they come to me a lot of times, they go, I don't know, here's all my work stuff. Show me what I got. Sometimes people just don't even know what they have as a benefit. So they're not taking advantage of what's right under their nose. And workplaces don't do that great of a job of educating people about how to use what they have. They try, the HR people try to create benefits that are great for people, but it's not always something that gets translated to the
I think a lot of companies have that, like it's that I call it's like the field of dreams issue. It's like if you build it, they will come. If we present benefits on our intranet,
people will use them.
People will use them.
That's not the case.
People aren't on their company intranet.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest mistakes people have is in their financial plans is not leveraging their workplace benefits. So that's a big error for a lot of people, and they lose a lot of money every year, and even spend more on taxes a lot of times because they haven't done the work to figure out what they have. But I think it comes back to a lot of people, and this is kind of something that I really firmly believe, is that people have overspent or overspending or over allocated to their lifestyles in right now. And I think that's kind of one of the things that we're starting to see is that people are trying to throttle back a little bit to get things back in order. But it really becomes, when you think about it, you have all of these things that you have to fund. You have to fund your retirement. You have to fund long-term care. You have to fund your kids' education. You have to fund your charities. Those are all things that are, well, you don't have to always fund all those things, but you're going to run into problems when you don't. And so
we all need more money, Geoff.
We all
just need more money, and then we can fund two jobs, and then we can fund everything.
Yeah, so, those are all things that people have to deal with, and I think that it becomes a situation where you really have to assess what is really important to you. And I think that's one of the things that I built a tool around, because people always ask me, where do I start? It becomes it's kind of a tough thing to say, well, start in this one spot or start here, because different people come to you at different stages in their life. So I created a tool called the Atlas Compass, which kind of helps you navigate your priorities, like what's important to you. And I actually created like the same thing with a compass, but with, what the W stands for, what do you want? And so coming down with what are the things that you really want.
So you have a W, which is what do you want?
What do you want? Or what do you need? And then what do you need for N? Because the wants and the needs.
Need. Yeah. Okay. I thought the W stood for what, not want, but that's okay.
Yeah. It's what you want. And WW. It's really west,
Okay.
Way west or
way
something.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you, so W, okay.
So you have want, you have your wants, you have your needs, and then you have like your, maybe emotional or urgencies and those kind of things, like what's driving you to do planning right now. What's important to you, those kind of things about the plan and your finances, those kind of things need to be kind of documented in the plan. And then those things come back to help you assess what options.
Kind of your values, right? Yeah. The emotion would almost be like your values.
Well, Not really, because usually people have something that's going on that's driving them to come do financial planning. It's not necessarily their values, and that is something that I capture too, which is under the S, which is like your spirit or your values.
Soon, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you stepped on me, man.
I know, man. I just thought it was never eat shredded wheat.
I
didn't know
to step on me, but there you go.
You know, if you're watching live streaming, you would know I would need a trampoline to step on Geoff.
So, really, so then the S is kind of like your spirit or your values and really documenting what's important, those values to you. So it really is a process for people to visually see what's important to them and then help them assess the options that come up and when we're doing the planning. So a lot of times there's in the process, you start with you're developing your current financial situation and then developing your financial goals. But then there's this identify and assess different and evaluate different alternatives for your plan. Well, if you don't really know what's important to you and you haven't really spent the time to figure that out, then none of this really is very helpful. It's maybe closer, but you really have to have that context to evaluate your decisions on. And so to me, it's become a pretty important process that I've added because it comes up all the time. Like, how do I know? How do I know? How do I know? And so now I've created this visual process for people to look at and go, oh, well, that's what's important to me. And they can use it in other situations. I'm applying it to their finances, but they could use it in other areas of their life and still assess, like what do they want, need, and what's important and what's urgent in other areas of your life and use that in that way too. So it's not just a financial planning tool, but it really is helping me help them. And it's something that we'll review over time because it changes too. Because what's urgent for somebody now, next year is not urgent. It's something else. Maybe they just had a kid or some family member needs their help or, those kind of things. So stuff comes up in life. And that's why the planning process and doing it over and reviewing it and looking at it every year becomes pretty important for a lot of people in my process with them because it really is different every year.
We're here with Geoff Koepp, owner and founder of Atlas Financial, My Atlas Planner. Geoff, we just have about a minute before we have to go to break. So let's continue just, you talked about kind of those first three pieces of the financial planning puzzle. What are those second three?
Well, there's the evaluating your alternatives, which is actually having your once we go through the process and we've kind of said, here's what your goals are and here's what you're trying to do, you're taking that context, which we just talked about with your compass, and putting that in evaluating, your life situation, your personal values, your economic factors, all those kind of things into your plan. And then you're creating, at that point, we're ready to create your financial plan. So we can package it together for you and put it together for you. And then really the last step is to revise and review. But I think actually there's another step that's in there, which is really then you're ready to create your budget. Then you're ready to really evaluate, all the things that you need, what's important to you. And then now you have something to go forward on and say, here's my spending plan. Here's how much I can spend this year. Here's how much I have for vacation. Here's how much I have for Christmas. Here's how much I have for my charities this year. Here's, and all of those things are now built into your financial situation. And you can really see all the things that you should have had in your plan. And when you have extra money, now it's guilt-free money, right? It's play money. It really is truly play money. You're not overspending to try to stay up with the Joneses. And so I think
I hate the Joneses, man.
The Joneses, those dirty no-goods.
They're so rich.
Yeah. So, I mean, and what's important to a younger person is going to be different than what's important to an older person retiring. And that kind of comes back to, my process, which is helping them figure out what is important at that stage in life and what's driving their situation and their numbers and their issues and helping them make those things their priorities.
Well, certainly, Geoff, it does come down to, and I think we love having you because, well, it kind of comes down to this. It's not a one-size-fits-all. I think if one thing you've talked about all the time is you do not have a one-size-fits-all practice.
No. In fact, I would love it if it was a one-thing-fits-all because it would make it very easy on me, but it's not very good for other people. And I think a lot of people try to squeeze people through the same process and give them the same tools and the same investments and the same thing and say, this is my system and that's just what you're going to get and here's how it works. And it sounds beautiful until you try to put it into practice and it doesn't work for you. So all of those things are very important to each person's financial plan.
Well, Geoff, we have to go to break. Stick around when we come back, though, because, Heather Moore's going to join us. And we are going to talk a little bit about not only what makes it important to choose a financial planner, maybe why they choose you, and, of course, charities, why people may choose a charity and if they're willing to have you. Most charities are probably willing to have you, though, don't you think?
Yeah, well, if you got money, they'll bring it.
If you got money, time, and you're willing to cross the bridge to go to parties.
Yeah.
We'll be right back after this break. You're listening to Brashenomics.